Hey guys, this is the full-length building of the Ender 3v2 that is definitely not edited to take out some of the mistakes that I made and then corrected. But if you are looking for the abridged version of this, which is considerably less long than like a little over an hour, we'll card to that for you right there so you can go take a look at it. But if you are building an Ender 3v2, yeah, this is good. Because you're going to see exactly how long it took me to do it. I won't show you the edits, but Patreon is coming soon, and we will release the full unedited video on Patreon as soon as it's ready, so keep an eye out for that if you want to see all the fun mistakes that I made when building this printer. Anyways, let's get to that building video. Enough of me talking. Let's go to past me talking. See ya. I've been critical about Creality in the past, but I've never actually unboxed an Ender 3, and, well, thanks to Amazon, we've got a V2. Let's take a look at it. Hey everybody, thanks again for joining us. We've got an Ender 3 V2. We're going to unbox it for you today and do a review. The review is going to come before the unboxing, so stay tuned if you want to see the entire unboxing, because I've got some atomic gray PLA here. We're going to do some printing on it. And I'm going to give you my opinion from both a hobbyist and a professional. Okay, so where do these things stand? I got this on Amazon on a deal for like $175 delivered. And for that value, I mean, good Lord, there's a lot in this box for not a lot of money. And I'm curious to find out what this is all about, because the only real experience I have with Creality Ender 3s are fixing a fair few of them for people and then doing a test print. But I want to really live with this for a little bit. So you might see it in some other videos, maybe over here in the corner, hanging out, doing its thing. I want to learn more all about this printer. And we're going to find out right after this segue to our sponsor, 3D Musketeers. That's right, we're going to continue to self-sponsor these videos, just like I paid for this printer with my own dang money. Hope that you guys will support us with your likes and your subs here on 3D Musketeers YouTube channel. We help you get your ideas out of your head and into your hands with full art-to-part rapid prototyping and product development. So if you want to make awesome, give us a call. Kind of what we're good at. Time lapse is set up, the benchy is rolling, and while it took a little bit of finagling to get the bed where I was happy with it, it's there. First layer stuck okay. Once we got it to that right height, squish it down just a little bit and life will be okay. As expected, I was a little bit higher than we needed to be. I'm used to the old school printers that used build tack. Glass is one of those new things for me when you are talking about manually leveled printers. With that being said, this is an okay experience. I'm not dissatisfied so far with the print quality. I think this is kind of what I expected. We did have to kick a little piece of plastic off that didn't stick. The first purge line wasn't perfect, but the overall build experience so far has been reasonably positive. Yes, I did say reasonably positive. It's not a bad printer, but I think that it does get a bad rap because, well, it's only got one Z-axis, okay, and that Z-axis lead screws right here. The filament is on top of it. So it's cantilevered, so they do have a tendency to sag. They use V-wheels, which is, for a printer this price, I can't complain. It is very quiet. Actually, the fans that it uses are very loud comparatively. And I will say, I'm feeling the back of the printer right now. It is a little bit warm, so I'm guessing right kind of here is where the motherboard and power supply and all of that are. I actually like this screen. Some people don't like this screen. I actually don't mind it. But what I don't like is Creality Slicer. We are going to go ahead and remove Creality Slicer because I think that is honestly the worst thing on here. So Creality Slicer, guess we can X you out. Goodbye, Mr. Bond. Use Real Cura. Use Prusa Slicer. Use anything other than stock Creality Slicer. Why? But I will say, if you don't mind taking the time to build a printer, if you don't mind dealing with some of the extra BS that is going to come with this, things like it's wobbly, nozzles are clogging, it's not an all-metal hot end. Remember, this is a PTFE line hot end. You might not have a terrible experience overall. Now realize this printer came out at like number 2 or number 3 on our cheap 3D printer roundup, which I will card to right above me. So I don't hate it. But I will tell you the Ender 3 is not my first choice of printer. I will say there are some really nice things about it, including the easy way to go ahead and belt tension your axes. I like that it has an extruder visualizer built in, although they're easy and cheap to print. I'm not a huge fan of Bowden, but I think Creality does an okay job of this entire setup. I do like how they have this nice cage around the fan, the hot end, and all that nonsense. That way little hands can't get in there. It came with a printer sock, so it's got a lot of things going for it. This still bothers the sin out of me, and I also apparently didn't tighten it. I did tighten it, but it ends up bottoming out on the rails, so freaking whatever, man. We were going to print with some Atomic PLA, but it came with some sample PLA, so we're gonna run it with sample PLA. That feeling when you realize that your spool of filament is well over 10% of the cost of one of these things brand new, and about 20% of the cost of the printer that you bought. But it's good filament, made in America. Highly recommended. Also, I've had this spool long enough that we used to measure how heavy the spool was with the spool so we could determine how much filament was left on the spool. And that was before the days of run-out sensors. But yes, overall, not a bad printer. Build experience was a little bit rough for me. The instructions are not as clear as something that you would find in a Prusa. We'll make sure to include all the pictures of this manual in the description down below. So if you guys, for some reason, lose your manual, you'll be able to easily find it. For what this printer is, for what it costs, I can't fault it. I cannot fault this printer. I almost want to say that I'm impressed. Well, because I am. I think this printer is a lot of printer for the money. I think it's a lot of value that you don't necessarily get at this price point at any other company. And yes, there are copies of this by every other Chinese 3D printer company. There are the Neptune style ones that are much cheaper. They're like $165 normal, and I've seen them down as low as $125. Let me know down in the comments if you guys want us to check those ones out. But you know what? I can't say that I recommend it as a first printer. I think that its build experience is not great, and because it doesn't have things like filament runout sensor, power loss detection, auto bed leveling, all metal hot end, flex build plates, it is tough for me to recommend this to first-time users. As a professional, as a hobbyist, you know what? If you don't value your time, this is a great value of a machine. But if you do value your time and you want, you know, let's say you own a business or you're, I don't know, you have a day job. Think about what you get paid at your day job. Let's just go with that. It's $10 an hour, right? I would say like $8.25 because that's the minimum wage here in Florida, but that's more math than I care to do, and I only got 10 fingers. We're gonna run out very quickly. But let's say $10 an hour after taxes to make it really easy. That means that if you spend more than 20 hours tuning this printer, fixing this printer, doing upgrades to this printer, you might find yourself better off with a Prusa Mini. Now, this Mini is not 100% stock. This has a handle and a relocator for the USB drive, but otherwise this Mini is 100% stock. You can actually see I had a benchy on this thing a little bit earlier. But when you look at what your time is worth, think about really how much effort you want to put into working on one of these machines. A Prusa Mini has 9-point auto bed leveling. It's got spring steel sheets. It does not yet have power loss detection, but apparently that's coming down the pipes on a firmware update. I think they're both 32-bit motherboards, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know the Prusa Mini is a 32-bit motherboard, and for an extra $20, you can put a filament runout sensor on this, and you'll be just fine. Now, they are both Bowden printers. Okay, they are both Bowden printers. This has an all-metal hot end. This one does not. But the size is clearly different. So if space is a big deal, you might want to look at a Prusa Mini. If you want bigger build volume, this is 220 by 220 by 250. This is 180 by 180 by 180. So 7 inches cubed. What is that? A little under 9 by a little under 9 by 10, give or take, inches. So you have to really decide where you want to be. If you want a printer that's going to work basically every single time, get a Prusa. Honestly, this is not the right printer for you. If you want the Apple of 3D printers, Creality is probably not the right place to start. But if you are a tinkerer and you love to mess with things, if you love to play, if you love to work, if you love to really hang out and get to know your printer, this is a great option. Now, I will say, great first printer, great second printer. And the reason I think the Ender 3 is a phenomenal second printer is if you get a good first printer like a Prusa Mini, a Prusa Mark 3S, or, you know, a printer that has auto bed leveling, removable beds, a lot of those features that we're looking for, right? You can have a printer that may not work 100% of the time or not even 80% of the time, and you're totally fine because you have another machine here. But if you're relying on just one machine, I don't necessarily know if I would put my faith in this printer. With that being said, as a hobbyist, I would buy this every day of the week. At the price I paid for $175, I said, I don't even care that I've got a YouTube channel. For $175, I've always wanted one. And at $175, there's very little reason for me not to get one. Links to this will be in the description down below. We have links to the Prusa as well if you want it. There's an affiliate links for both, so we do get a bit of a cut. If you don't mind helping us out, we would greatly support it. Otherwise, guys, that's my hot take on it. I think it's actually a pretty decent printer. For the money, you're gonna have a really hard time beating this. It is big, right? She's got some wide hips on her. The screen is a little massive, but it is incredibly readable. Even, like, I am basically 180 degrees from where I should be, and it reads just fine. And as you can see, it ain't doing a half bad print. It's slow as all get out, but it ain't doing a half bad print. So I can't fault it. And as soon as this thing is done printing, I'm gonna show you that print with your favorite thing, B-roll. If I had to give this printer a grade, because I guess that's going to be the thing now, I'm going to give it a B to a B minus. It is not a bad printer if you don't value your time. I believe this thing is going to take a lot of time to keep it running long term. And yes, you can buy a bunch of upgrades, but at what point were you better off just getting one of these in the first place? And again, these are different price classes. I can get more than 2 of these at the price that I paid for one of these. And generally, it's about 2 of these for one of these. But that experience is a lot different. I don't mind this. I think the build was a little bit meh, but I think my expectations were set very high from Prusa. But yeah, the unboxing is coming up right after this, so if you guys want to see the unboxing and build, make sure you stay tuned. But if not, stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. See you guys down in the comments. Let's just dive into this thing. I've got a handy garbage steak knife. Everyone's got these things laying around. Remember, cut cord your chum. not your thumb. We're going to evaluate a few different things on this printer, and one of it is going to be the packaging, okay? Because ultimately, if you can't pack printers worth a damn, it doesn't really matter. This is actually pretty thick cardboard. It's double-walled cardboard. Show that on the top-down camera. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. I mean, that shows that there's some decent packaging in here. I'm gonna get out this foam. What are you? This is good. Reasonably decent foam. Clearly it's, you know, kind of packed in a bit of a haste, but I can't complain about that too much as long as the printer runs. We've got our user's manual. Let's see what else comes inside of the box. A qualified certificate. That is definitely not printed and die cut correctly, but hey, when you pump these things out by the thousands, I'm not too surprised. So we have a user's manual right here. I know most of, you know, what we need to know for these printers. So we're gonna put this off to the side. We have our after sales service card that has a hotline. I'm guessing this is probably a WeChat or something like that, so you can reach out to them, but there is an exact number. So if you are looking to get service on your Ender 3, there's the number to call. We've got the invitation to be the next customer of the Creality Cloud. No. And we've got just a generic thank you sheet. Cool. We have this nice glass build plate. It is 220 by 220 and it is 250 in the Z or Z axis, but I believe these plates are like 235. I think they're a little bit bigger. You can see the extruder over here. It looks like we've got a hot end that is literally not attached to anything. Although, I said this in the last video, it's got a hot end sock, so that's something nice to see. Can't complain too much about that. I didn't know they were doing these nice injection molds. That's actually half decent. I'm gonna give them credit for that. V-Wheels, we all know about my thoughts on V-Wheels. I talked all about it in the Lulzbot Taz Sidekick video. We'll card to it right above, so you guys can go take a look at it. But it looks like this might be a little bit involved, so let's just do it. In this box, we have what appears to be, this is your extruder here, and your X-axis. You also have a lead screw nut on the top of this. That's where clearly the Z-axis is going to go, so we'll set this off to the side here. We've got the screen. I've heard good and bad about these screens. Some people love them, some people hate them. It's got a couple of, honestly, like half-decent injection molded parts. I'm not seeing, you know, any evidence that these are really abused, that the molds are overran. We have a little bit of swarf in here, but, I mean, actually, that's more foam. Yeah, this is just foam. So just some, you know, generic leftover stuff from manufacturing, and that just slides into place. Beautiful. We've got the spool holder. Get out. Thank you. Can just go ahead and put that together now. Oh, wow, it's not a, I figured this was going to be a nut. It's just a twist lock. That's, you know, honestly, that's not bad. I came into this expecting to get like, you know, okay, you spent $175 on a 3D printer quality. And like, yeah, I've got rails here. So similar to you spent $175 on a 3D printer quality. 1, two, These are your Z-axes. Milling appears to be pretty decent. Can't complain about that. Some holes are threaded, some are not. These are not the same height, so that will be interesting. Got the main unit right here. One of the nice things about Enders is that they're not all that heavy. So even my crippled keister can get this thing out. Now, the one thing I wasn't planning on is that I don't believe it came with a micro SD card. Interesting. Let's see if there's anything else in the box. Oh, yeah, there's more in the box. All right, I'm gonna put you on the floor. There's the toolkit I was hoping it was going to have, although I brought my own just in case. We've got the Z-axis motor. At least this is my thought. This is gonna be your Z-axis motor. A pretty generic, cheap NEMA 17. You know, definitely some corners are cut here, but Realistically, at the end of the day, it will run. It is a little thin, so you look at NEMA 17s for their torque, and that's based on the how many plates that you see here. So the black plates, there's multiple small plates. More plates, more better, generally speaking. We've got, looks like some sample filament, but let's take a look here first. What's this? This is the idler for the X-axis. We have a scraper. Yeah, I mean, again, reasonably decent injection molded parts. Let's just... I'm assuming you're quite sharp. No, you're not. You appear sharp, but you'll do great for adding drywall spackle. You'll do great for that. See, everybody's destined to have a purpose, and even if your purpose is just to pass the butter. Let's see what we got in here. We've got some sample filaments. We might use this, but sample filament is not known for its high quality. And literally there is nothing on here. I don't even know what this is. I'm assuming it's PLA, but who knows? In this bag of fun, wow. They include a spare nozzle, some spare Bowden tube connectors. I'm gonna give them credit for that. They don't need to include those, but, well, maybe they do, because some people buy these printers and don't know what they're doing. We got an end stop switch. We've got the SD card reader and the micro SD card. We've got the belts, a spare bed nut, I'm guessing for, oh no, this is for belt tensioning, I'm fairly certain. What else do we have in here? Parts. All right, that's all the other hardware stuff that comes with the printer. We're gonna put all this back together so we can empty this box and get it onto the floor. Got another profile, nice piece of what appears to be shear cut aluminum. So one side is rounded, the other side is a little sharp, but it looks like they've knocked the edges off. So again, can't really complain about this. More impressed than I expected. Came with a US power cord. This is 18 gauge, so don't put a ton of energy through it, but more than adequate for a 3D printer. And under here we have, greasy. It was apparently a little excited to see me. This is our Z-axis lead screw. And this is most likely then the Z-axis. So I likely misspoke earlier. We have nothing else in the box. And yes, the box did sustain a little bit of damage in shipping. But it appears that everything inside is A-OK-a-rooney. So let's just get that down on the floor. That made more noise than I was comfortable with. Well, too friggin' bad. That's the way it's going to be. Let's go ahead and get this open here. Love it. Well, we are likely going to need to use the user manual. I didn't expect that these printers were going to come with as much assembly as they do, but I guess at this price point, I can't really complain. I don't really have a place to complain at not even $200 for this printer. That is for the screen. I mean, even though this is a non-all metal extruder, it is a PTFE lined extruder. It don't look half bad. I mean, I'll give it credit. This cover's kind of nice. Keeps your delicate fingies out, and of course, most of this is reasonably well covered and insulated. I mean, this is not as bad as I was expecting, so I'm gonna give it credit. But of course, we'd be remiss. Well, we'll do the peel later. I'll make you hang out for that peel. Oh, and by the way, just so you guys know, since you saw the first TV fixing video or TV fixing attempt video, we'll card to it right here. It actually came out on Monday. This video is coming out on Wednesday. I am using the television, and it is not the way that you saw it on Monday. It changed. So make sure you get subscribed if you want to see the results. Power tools were involved. So were safety glasses. Yes, I randomly changed the backgrounds of the set. Like, if you didn't notice, the D20 that we printed a little bit ago is back here. It's going to be heading out in a couple of days to go to Andrew, our lead video editor, go to his dad. His dad asked for it, so dad's going to get it. Let's take a look at this lead screw. It is greasy. All right, it's going back in. I don't want that crap all over the place. Get the tools out of the way. We will need these. Oh, hey, it came with a set of diagonal cutters. And I would bet, these are the ones that we used in that tool video. I would bet dollars to donuts these are going to be the exact same brand. Good thing I'm not a betting man. They look basically the same, but they're not branded. I'm looking through it to see. Not the greatest. There is some jaw overlap. You guys won't be able to see it in the video, so you'll just have to trust me. Just decided to throw that, clearly. We got the screen here. Let's see what the user manual is telling us. Is it going to run us through assembly? It absolutely will. All right, well, the first thing it wants us to do is get the Z-axis profiles, which are these, and we got to screw it in from the bottom. All right, no problemo. Man, you have every desire to just fall forward. I am leaning on the table to grab. Let's get these Z-axes installed. Now, if we look on the thing here, it is telling us, so it shows us an X, and the X is the front of the printer here. Oh, it's got a little tool drawer. That's kind of cool. I'll give them credit for that. Okay, so we need to have these holes on this need to be down here. So that one goes down there. Okay. There's a short and a long side. Yep, so there's a lot of length here and very little length here. Short goes down, long goes up. Okay, let's get ourselves... So I'm gonna try to use everything that this thing came with and nothing else. My goal is to evaluate this as it stands. Ooh, be careful. Comes with an acupuncture needle. This is to deal with nozzle clogs if you ever get them. So I'm gonna set that aside because that's a great way to end up in the animal emergency room when Miss Victoria, who we love very dearly, decides that's a toy. Not that that's ever happened before. Everything is black oxide, but it does have some oil on it, so just be aware of that. It's kind of up to you. All right, well, I almost messed up and installed this on first, but the instructions tell you to install the Z-axis limit switch first, and it goes up and through here. There are T-nuts on the bottom, and those T-nuts can be a little problematic sometimes. That is a-okay. Just gotta make it work. So we have to align it with the bottom of the profile. Shouldn't be that bad. Get it close enough, you can always adjust it later. And it wants the axis end stop facing outward. That is no problem. We can go ahead and get that done. Now it is time to get this piece connected. So I'm gonna check to see how well these threads are. If the threads are done well, they're not going to gall, and I can go ahead and install this completely by hand. And they've already tightened up on me. So we're gonna need to use the tools, no big deal. These are the type of screws, at least on the bottom here, that you're really gonna wanna tighten down, because ultimately these 4 screws, 2 on each side, are what decide how tight your Z-axis is. Now, don't cinch it down too much. Get them both in first. Get them both kind of finger tight, and then come back and cinch them down. When you go ahead and cinch everything down, you have to use your patented torque wrench. You see, you just apply torque until it goes click, click. It's a joke. I'm just making the clicking noise. It's a thing. And click. Now, if you keep turning and all of a sudden it gets loose, F in the chat. Don't do that. All right, let's get the other 2. Why does it come with 5 bolts? I wonder if it gives you an extra bolt or if there's actually a reason. We're going to install the other 2 bolts down at the bottom. This one might be a little bit more difficult, especially for me. Because normally you would... Yes, normally this thing wants to be... Well, let's see if we can just do it. Nope. Well, might be able to get one. I'm just going to rest it against my chest. Work with me here, dang it. Yeah, I'm sure that front camera is just making fun of me right now because I can't find it. Be very careful of these bed clips. I just sliced my finger open. Reset the clock. Dang. Look, I get that I'm not an engineer, but this should just be easier. People are probably yelling at me saying, Flip it to the front! Yeah, I probably should have done that. Yeah, this way is gonna be a whole lot easier. Let's just install it this way. Same deal, the threads appear to gall up pretty darn quickly. It's funny, I'm the one that tells people to be safe and I end up cutting myself in a video. And it wasn't even from the knife! It wasn't even from this! Which we don't need anymore, so we're going to put it away so it doesn't get in the way. You can see this whole thing turning as I'm turning the bolt. That's not good. That means that the profile is not threaded straight or the screw is not straight. That is not great when you consider that this is supposed to be a relatively high precision device. Plus or minus 0.005 of an inch is generally what you can expect out of a well-tuned 3D printer. All right, we got the Z-axis on. We're gonna move the E-axis out of the way. Cheap 3D printers are great if you have a bad back because they don't weigh but, you know, a couple of pounds. Okay, so we got that on. Now we need to get our Z-axis motor. Our Z-axis motor is not this. That is our Z-axis motor. We also need the lead screw. And we need a hexagon socket countersunk. All right, so now we need to, and I'm gonna put the instructions right here so you guys might be able to see it along with me. But we are going to put the Z-axis lead screw in the printer. Now you do want to make sure that this thing bottoms out. We don't want any play. I guess you can have some. Bottoming out will enable it to not bend as much, but these are couplers. They are designed to bend a little bit. I'm going to let mine bottom out. I'm also working on the printer backwards. I'm going to have to turn it around, but that's okay. Gonna go ahead and get this thing nice and tight. I'm looking at it like, why is that not right? Because you have the printer around. It's facing you when it should be facing our viewers. Click. Beautiful. That is on. I'm gonna leave the protective coating on it, or protective shield on it. I don't want it to really get in the way. Again, thankfully, Ender 3s don't weigh a ton. The motor is installed on the back side here. And it is using these little hexagon socket countersunks. So these are socket cap screws with a countersink on them. Go ahead and get those screws in there first because they are a bit of a pain in the butt to get in. I apologize. The front-facing camera is not going to pick up a ton of this. We're working with what we got here. I got one screw in. And again, we're gonna put them both in a little finger tight. I'm guessing as you tighten this thing up, it should kind of self-center. I'm pushing it forward. Click. That never gets old. Every single time I do that, like when we're working on something, Amber and I, she always laughs, and that's why I do it. Click. Let's check that one more time. That's a click. Now, technically, if you wanted to do this right, you should be putting anti-seize on all the bolts, but it is my hope that I don't have to pull this thing apart again. Now, I will say, just taking a look up here, we've got halfway decent bed cable management to keep it from really rubbing. We got Tech Flex on everything, which, you know, again, it's not bad, right? I mean, considering the cost of this printer, this is the definition of it ain't bad. It ain't good either. All right, so we need to get the X-axis profile. Which one of these is the X-axis? Do you tell us? No, you don't. Oh, I guess, yeah, this is definitely not the X-axis. That goes on the top. Right, cool. You're an idiot, Grant. Thanks. All right, we need to look at how to assemble this. So we've got this end piece that we're going to need. We are definitely going to need this. This is what actually goes on the profiles here. Oh, we're not doing that just yet. We're actually using the pneumatic joints. Where do you attach? Do you attach on the back? That goes like this. That goes like this. And that means this. That's the back of the printer. I know the extruder's on the back of the printer, so this goes like this. So how the heck does... What? I'm sure a non-trivial amount of our viewers that have built an Ender 3 are like, this guy's a hack! No, this is just not, like, immediately straightforward on what they're asking you to do here. I'm gonna have to just go off of the fact that I know how an Ender 3 kind of connects and goes together. That's how it goes. Okay, so you've got a cutout on this side. It fits right into there, and then those bolt holes line up. It is on the side with the motor, so we need to also get button heads. These are called button heads. What does it call them? Hexagon socket, flat round head, spring washer combo. They are button head socket cap screws, because if you lose them, that's what you'll need to look up to find more. I'm guessing you're going to want to pre-install them like this, because they're not going to fit all the way through. So we'll pre-install them. And it's nice they leave you cutouts for the hex key to go through. Oh, let's see. Is this the right size? It is. Hooray. I don't know if you'll be able to see this on either camera, but I'll hold it up just in case. I am going through the profile here to attach things. I would not call this like a printer for beginners. I mean, okay, if you have an engineering degree and you really like tinkering with stuff, I don't have an engineering degree, but I love tinkering with stuff. This isn't that bad, but like a first build for a kid, well, maybe our video will be the one that you use. I don't know. We've got that. This is for down here at the end. I am almost certain of it, because this is used to tighten everything. Like, it even has a hole where it fits. It does want you to tighten this. Tighten it, but I assume not too tight. That seems about right. Now these are push to connect Bowden tube fittings. When you push everything in, it'll lock in. Pull up on the connector and push down some more. That'll make sure that it is fully locked and doesn't have a ton of slop. Let's go ahead and just getting this on. So first, let's take that off. Pull the synchronous belt along this direction. I read that correctly, I promise. Just wants us to put the belts through the motor. And you do have to make sure that you go, through the right ways on the motor. So be careful about all that. This is not the easiest part to work on, but I know why this exists. I got it through, just got to get it through the other side here. And this is done so that little kids' fingers don't end up getting caught in the system. All right, so we have our belt that's ran through. That's what it wanted. All right, pro tip when installing this belt, you only need to have it on one side when you put it through the extruder here. Trying to do this while also showing cameras. So then it goes through. And the reason is that these actually clip in down here. This thing gets a little unruly. And by a little unruly, I mean a lot unruly. We gotta put the belt kind of in and through. Beautiful. Same thing with this side. In and through. All right, now we've got the E-axis put on. We can go ahead and install the Z-axis passive block. That, again, installs with a little milled plate. Once we have it flipped over, we can align it up, insert our screws, and get them tightened down. Wonderful. We've got all that installed. It appears, hey, we can turn the page. Awesome. All right, now we're doing the X-axis tensioner, which is this. It comes with a singular screw. And it also needs, apparently the last one of these screws. So, cool potatoes. We actually end up taking this screw back out. Maybe it told us not to put it in previously, but I did. We end up taking it out because the X-axis tensioner fits into it. Now, the other thing that you have to do is actually, I believe you have to pull the entire tensioner apart. Yeah, you need to, because you can't get the belt. Well, you can, and I'm going to. I'm going to do it this way, because I think this way is just easier. Here's what's going on. I'm trying to fit this through, and it is not going to budge. I can try to use... I'll try to use these cutters here and see if I can just flatten out. Definitely can. And because it's brass, it shouldn't affect the cutters. It's a softer metal. Ha, that worked. Yep. Would do again. Absolutely, absolutely recommended. Maybe not the right way, but it's definitely the way that I just did it, and it was so much better. I'm checking over here. I wanted to make sure that the belt is on the pulley over there, and it totally is. So that's beautiful. You're beautiful. Lining you is... Oh, wow. I thought aligning that was going to suck. It's definitely not that bad. All right, one screw goes in here. Okay, the hexagon flat wash, the flat one goes on the other side. Also says the location of copper sleeve of synchronous belt. Those are brass, they're not copper, which does make sense. I mean, copper's quite expensive these days. And I actually heard there was a global copper shortage. Not great to hear about that. Okay, I think we have X-axis complete. I do notice the belt is twisted a bit, so let's fix that. If you guys look from the top down, you'll see that the belt does have some twists in it. That isn't that big of a deal. That can be relatively easily remedied. At least it used to be easy. What is the easy way to fix that? Probably to pull this top piece off. You don't want to leave a twist in belts. You will notice. And that's actually why I'm like, that seems a little tight. Let's get that off. And that likely happened when we were installing the tensioner pulley. Shouldn't be that bad of a fix. Just got to remove this panel. Ooh, good. That I thought that was going to fall on me. So all we do is just have to just twist it till it goes the right way. Beautiful. We're back in business. Oh no! Oh god. Oh. This video is going to be titled Watch an Idiot Build an Ender 3. Last screw on the back. I'm not going to say this is easy, because easy is definitely not how I would classify this. It is certainly more complicated than I would have expected. But again, I think retail price on these is something like 250 bucks. At 250 bucks, I don't think there's any room to complain here. I'm going to. But especially at like the $175 that I paid for this, there's a lot of bang for your buckaroos in here. All right, we got our belt put back on. Now we are ready to go ahead and get everything assembled. All right, we have the E-axis on the printer. Well, a few different axes here. Checking my belt tension. This is nice. These belt tensioners, I will say, nicer. You heard it here first. These are nicer than the belt tensioning system on a Prusa, because the belt tensioning system on a Prusa is pretty much nil. It's saying to install the Z-axis moving kit and adjust the tightness of the X-axis. We're going to do that when we're done. A few final screws to get in the top plate, and that's it. It does want us to install the filament spool up top. We are not going to do that. We'll put it somewhere along the back side here. Because that is not where you want that stuff to go. They really do. They really just give you one extra of every bolt in this kit. Go ahead and tighten these down right until you get the click. Click. See? Nice and simple. That's done. It is going to want us to install this with what screws? Oh, wants us to put on the covers so that we don't have any exposed 2020. I mean, I get that. It's just more for show, not for go. We're looking for M5 by 8. Oh, there they are. M5 by 8. And the T-nuts that go along with it, that is to install the spool holder. I'm going to install it back here on the back of the printer. I think that is a much better space for it. I'm going to explain to you guys why in just a second. Okay, so why would we go against the directions and not install up here? The reason is inertia. Inertia can be a bit of a pain. And, well, inertia, if you have a big spool of filament up here shaking around, it is going to shake your Z-axis. It is better if I don't know if we can, but if we can put it down here on this backside of the printer, it will be considerably better for your print quality. Now, I said I was going to do this bone stock, but that is one of the small adjustments I'm going to make because, well, it's asinine that they didn't do this in the first place. Now, there is some cable management that is done, and I'm not certain if this is going to get in the way. So if it does, we'll adjust it. With these T-nuts, you want to just barely get them on, just like that. Then that way they can fit, and you put them sideways like that. You put them into the slot. Here, let me turn the printer. Much easier to turn it now that it's like that. And this is where having ball and hex keys comes in very handy, because you can now do this at an angle. Otherwise, it will just suck. And what'll happen is the T-nuts will spin and they'll lock in. All right, we got the spool holder on. That is not a handle for the printer, so do not use it as such. We've got a little bit of wiring to take care of. I should put the printer back so it's facing you guys sideways. We've got the Z-axis motor connector. That's pretty simple. She'll just go right there. We have got the Bowden tube, which goes into here. And again, pull out, push in. And these Bowden tubes did come with these nice little blue pieces. These little blue pieces, put it in my hand for the top-down view. It keeps the Bowden tube connectors, these hydraulic or pneumatic fittings, from moving around. Basically reduces some of their jitter. We've got our X-axis connector, and they are labeled. They've got those little label bits on them. So we have our X-axis connector there. I'm gonna go in. Thanks. Our E? Seriously? Oh, you idiot. X-axis is over here. Little tight there. We have our E-axis, which is this. And of course, it's funny, I said E-axis, and my first reaction was to go over here, because I'm used to direct drive extruders. And then we have, what is this? X. Oh, this is an end stop switch. Yeah, it must be over there. One thing to note, it does appear that there is some room for the cables. Yes. It does show that in the manual. Cables can go just like that. Decent cable management. This is a little floppy. Might get in the way of the filament. We're going to find out. It's going to have me do the screen next, so I am just going to wait. I apparently missed the entire part where it said to install the screen, so we're just going to do that. Again, for these T-nuts, you got to loosen them up a little bit. All right, you'll be fine. I'm going to lean it on the spool holder. Doing this a little bit out of order because I clearly missed this step. Hilariously. Tighten her down. I do like that this is a easy removable screen. I mean, again, I'm not here to just like crap on this printer. I really want to evaluate it and understand why they're so popular, because realize, again, my only experiences with these printers are the failures. I don't interact with them when they work. And as some of you saw on the live stream, that was actually a 2-part live stream, we fixed an Ender 5 Plus, and needless to say, it didn't go very smoothly. And it wants us to install an indication knob. That little blue knob, it wants on the extruder wheel. That's nice, so that can help you kind of make sure that the extruder is turning. I can't hate that. I can't hate that. That's like one of those little, oh, okay, makes sense. All right, and looks like we are ready for first power up. But before we do that, the bed clips are removable. They're very sharp, so be careful. I've cut myself already. Thankfully, it's a very clean cut, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But I know what like half of you are here for. You're here for this glorious peel. So let's make sure I get it on both cameras. So you only get one shot at these. Gosh, no, that's pretty premium. Now, if we look on this bed surface, it is somewhat of a texture. It is a piece of glass, so piece of glass. On one side, it has got this texture on it, and then the other side is completely clean glass. I do like that. I like the silk screening. I think that's pretty. And if you look through the camera, it is something like tint. Like see-through window tint is the best way that I can describe it. Gonna reinstall the bed clips. I would prefer to have a flex plate with a mag bed, but again, at this price point, I can't be all that upset. Let's go ahead and get it powered on for the first time. Oh, gosh. Oh, I'm sure half the people are yelling at me. You missed a peel right here. Oh, this one's tough. Oh, this is not all that satisfying. But only that, where we're going to the moon. We're always going to the moon. Power. It was defaulted to be on for power, so that's cool. Plug it in the back here, and contact. Aww. Do we? Hello? Oh my. Ha! The printer's set for 230 volts from the factory. There we go. That's why she didn't turn on. There it is. It was set to 230 volts from the factory. Hilarious. Now, while it's booting, I'm going to check belt tensions. I twang the belts, right? But they're hard to tell, so we'll just believe that it's fine. Now, Creality does not include any cleaning solution, so I brought the Go Juice and the cleaning juice. So let me get a paper towel here. I'm gonna just immediately assume that the bed is dirty, so alcohol should remove any dirt, grime, debris, dust, all that is on here. I am noticing the paper towel, however, is leaving some lint behind, so a lint-free cloth may be a better bet for you guys. Okay, now this is not a touchscreen, and that is okay. So we got print, prepare, control, info. I'm gonna go to control, motion, not what I want. Prepare. All right, let's auto home this thing and see where she sits. Wow, that is quiet. That is really quiet. Wait, where's my Z? Are you? You're on. Why'd you not home Z? Oh, ha! It's because I forgot to plug in the Z cable. Love it. Grant. Some of you are probably yelling at your screen, you forgot to plug in the Z-axis end stop! I got it now. One more try. Ah, that's better. Alright, so there is realistically no way the filament can go over here. It looks like this is going to get in the way. I wonder if we could put it up front, but I'm going to go ahead and remove the filament spool from over here as this thing is homing itself. Clearly, that is not a level bed. That is not a level bed at all. Do we have room to put the filament spool here? No, we don't. Are you really only going to give me enough space to put it up here? That is ridiculous. There is no reason this should go up here. Yeah, I mean, it kind of has to. All right, whatever. Don't do this. Like, find another spot. Bit of a shame, really. All right, now we're going to go ahead and level the bed. To do that, I'm going to switch to a different camera so you guys can see what's going on. We'll leave the top-down one running, but we're going to switch to a third camera so that you guys can see the whole process. Hey, we're back on kind of the lower end of the printer here. Hi, I'm over here in the corner. We are going to be leveling the bed, and to do that, we have the printer home, but as you can see, this thing is just freewheeling. We want to take a look until the nozzle is visible. Now, the old school way of doing this was to use a piece of paper. Creality actually included this little qualified certificate. Probably the right thickness. Let me take a look. Yeah, it's a regular sheet of paper. That's fine. Some people will use dollar bills because they're about a 1/1000th of an inch thick. Now you want to have it just get a little bit of friction in there, not a ton. And oh yeah, this whole process is backwards from what you think. I'm like having to close one eye to focus here. All right, so there's some friction on this now. I'm gonna loosen it up just a hair. I'm pretty happy with that. Now okay, the printer is cold. I'm gonna bring the back corner down. So I'm gonna bring this right towards you guys. I'm gonna move you kind of off to this edge here. Again, it is way, 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 way too close. So we're just gonna pull it away. Again, kind of get it in this back corner, same deal. Now, theoretically, if this is done right, you only really gotta do it once. Or at least once every time you remove your bed. That's pretty good. All right, we're gonna go over to the other side now. So I'm gonna go ahead and move the camera. So on this side here, as we go to move it, it starts to grab because this side over here is way too close. Still, we want it to give it some room to move. Okay, beautiful. Sure, that looks okay. All right, that'll work. Huh? Did it just push the glass off? I think it totally did. Quality. Oh, wait. Oh, did I have this over too far? That's so weird. The printer can move further than its actual build plate is. So when you're leveling, just be aware of that. Okay, that's a slight bit. Can come back here. Come back here. Here's Johnny. Except I'm Grant. My brother's John. Okay. I think these are all probably a little too close. We're gonna come back to the first one here. Or a little too far. Gonna take a look at it. I'm just gonna do them all by eye. I think that I can do a half decent job by eye here. That's dragging, of course it is. Because remember, we are leveling to 0. We are not leveling to where the thing is gonna print. It's gonna print 0.2 or whatever your layer height is above this. So just be wary of that. It can be useful to raise the printer 0.2 millimeters and then level it. It's up to you. This is how I've done it. There's no, the industry is kind of, which way is best? Whatever way works best for you. It's fine, I promise. Yeah, I think that's gonna be okay. Gonna look at the center of the plate. Everything seems straight. Now we gotta stand up. Yes, the groaning is required here. You're gonna come up with me. Hi. Hi, we have a camera there and another camera here. It's kind of cool when we can do that. But, all right, we have the printer leveled. Hopefully you guys learned something there. I know it's difficult to talk and do that thing at the same time, so I apologize if it's not the best, but hey, get to have a weird look at the set that you don't have otherwise. Let's go back to the main camera and see how this looks. The printer is level. Although leveling is not the right term. Tram is a more accurate term. We've got some spare parts here. We're gonna put all the spare parts in this one little bag. The spare parts are nice, unnecessary for our needs, but are definitely nice to have. I'm just trying to clean my workspace a little bit. All right, now we need to go ahead and open their software. I presume there is software on here. I would like to use this thing in its stock experience. I don't want to have anything kind of messing with me, Let's see what this thing comes with in terms of a card. Comes with a NETAC 8 gig micro SD HC card in a definitely not suspicious card reader. My laptop has one built in, so that's what we're going to use for the purposes of this video. And yes, I have a desktop that we're recording on. The laptop is right here, and I don't have to walk back and forth a bunch of times. I am going to opt not to use this card reader. I don't trust it, and I have no need to. There's no reason for me to trust this. All right, we're gonna go over to my computer now. All right, it comes with some built-in G-code, some manuals, software, comes with Creality Slicer. Let's take a look at what Creality Slicer looks like. I believe Creality Slicer is just a skinned version of Cura. It is my understanding that that's what it is. It's got some models for you to mess around with. Box 3, Quake, the Owl, the Klein Bottle, the Maze, the Monkey, the Vase. Let's see what we get here. Let the thing install on my laptop, even though I'm a little worried it's spyware. Creality Slicer should be okay, but we're gonna definitely check to make sure they're not phoning home. Okay, that was actually pretty easy. Creality 3D Printing Industry Evangelist. What? What does that even mean? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna give you access to any of it. Look, allow Cura to communicate to these networks. So it is just a skinned version of Cura. We're gonna click to get started. Disclaimer by Creality3D. Please read this disclaimer carefully, except when otherwise stated in writing. Creality3D provides any Creality3D software or third-party software as is without warranty of any kind. The entire risk as to the quality and performance of Creality3D software is with you. No, the quality of the software is your fault, not mine. I've got nothing to do with this. I have no skin in the software game. Just generic BS. It's just a generic user agreement. Things I don't care about, just Slicer things. Data is collected. Creality Slicer collects anonymous data to improve print quality. See, at least they tell you in the freaking thing. Now, I want to point out how many freaking printers Creality has. There's quite a few. But we have, funny enough, the printer that I have is not on here. We have an Ender 3 V2, but there's Ender 3, Ender 3 Pro, Ender 3 3S. I have a feeling that will be fine. Yeah, it's running Cura 4.2, which is not great. Let's grab a Benchy real quick here. Beautiful, we got ourselves a Benchy. We're going to leave effectively everything stock right now. I want to see what it's going to show us. I am really curious. Layer height of 0.2. That's fine. Infill, material, speed. Print speed of 50. That's a little slow. I'm going to leave this all the way it is. I don't want to mess with this too much. I want to just go ahead and slice it, get it on this machine, and get it printing for you guys. We will use the B-roll camera to set up a time lapse of the print, and that way you guys can see it. 2 hours and 5 minutes. It's like I'm just made of time. All right, we'll save it to removable. File saved. We'll eject it. I can go ahead and pull the SD card out. Awesome. Let's real quick go through the settings on this. Yeah, and see it shows just the basic settings, stock, which is fine. 100% fan speed, no support. Yeah, this is all pretty standard. It's what you expect. All right, let's find the SD card slot on this thing. Oh, it's up here. Hilarious. All right, let's prepare. We're going to preheat PLA. I assume this is what it came with. We are going to actually test with its stock material first. And if I don't like this stuff, we'll kill the print and we'll go over to my material. I don't like spools without actual spools. There's such a high chance of failure here. All right, I want to turn it so I can show you guys about loading filament into these printers. Gonna grab our filament. It's gonna come in right through here. We've got, it just goes in. All right, that is going to frustrate the hell out of me, so I'm removing it. Cut your filament at an angle. It will make life a lot easier. I didn't realize that it wasn't cut at an angle. What are these? They're crappy cutters, because like that's just bad. Whatever, it's what came with the printer, so it's what we're using. This is why I don't like, It's why I don't like filament like this. It just really makes a mess. Master spools are one thing. I like master spools. Master spools are nice and useful. This, however, is just a pain in the ass. Why are you not going in? There it is. All right. So now that we have it in, we can actually use the wheel here to pull filament through. Now, you don't have to do that. Me, I'm just gonna release tension on the extruder and just push it in. Now, one thing to note, I want to move the Z-axis, so I want to show you guys that. We're gonna move the Z-axis up, and that, when we push the filament through, will, you know, actually make things a little bit happier. Okay, a fan just kicked on. It's a little noisy. Oh, all the motors are stuck. All right, 60C and 200. That's actually got there pretty quickly. All right, I believe we have filament in the hot end. I can see it coming out. That's a good sign, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I'm gonna pull some filament through here. Oh, I need to disable steppers. I do like this where it just moves by 0.1, but I wish it gave you more options. You can see that it is now extruding filament. We're gonna wait to see how she looks. Hey, that's about right. That's what I want to see. A little slow. That's all right. Cool. All right, now we're gonna go back, print, back. Oh, right. On these older printers, you have to, there's a thing with the SD card. I forget where it is. You have to unmount and remount the SD card. I just don't know where it is in this printer. I don't mind the screen. The screen's actually pretty great. No, it looks like we're gonna have to turn it off, turn it back on. This is nice too. It's got a little drawer for tools. Like, can't hate they're utilizing the extra space on the printer here. Print. So it does save it with really weird names in Creality Slicer. Why? I don't know. I am, however, going to remove Creality Slicer from my computer as soon as we're done because I don't want it. All right, so we are a little bit far. We want to bring the printer a little bit closer. So this was my expectation. This is why I like printers that have heat beds that auto level. All right, I really just cranked it down. So it's a little bit closer than I like to see, but I think it will run. There's a piece of plastic. Give it to me. There's just so much crap in the way I can't get to it. I'm going to use one of the hex keys here. There. So the bed is a little bit close, but we kind of expected this. It is dang quiet. And there you have it. We got this thing built. We got it printing. It works. There is room to grow. This printer is bone stock, and a lot of Ender 3s do not stay this way for a very long time. And we plan to start upgrading this thing very soon. So we want to know again in the comments, what are your favorite Ender 3 mods? Because we're going to start compiling them and adding them all to this. And we're going to be comparing some bed leveling sensors. I'm going to buy a TH3D, and our own Alan from Pyroball PCBs is going to be hooking us up with a Pyro Piezo mount for this printer as well. And we're going to compare the two and see which one runs better, because we can do that. I'm going to bet they're pretty darn close, if not dead nuts identical. But yeah, I am very happy with this printer. Again, from a professional standpoint, B minus. Needs more intervention than I care for. Of course, stock settings aren't going to be great. Prusa stock settings are much better, but it's double the price minimum, so it's tough to compare them. I'm going to, but it's tough just because of their price points. Again, I like how it puts the texture from the build plate onto the part itself, and I do like this build plate. I've normally been very much against glass surfaces, but this one is kind of changing my mind. This texture really bites into the part until it cools down, and then it's totally great. I still hate the position of this spool holder, and that is never going to change, and there is nobody that can change my mind about that. This is a very poor location for it. Do not put your spools up here. An off-printer spool holder would be so much better. But yes, successful print. It will live up here on the set, so you guys can see it as these benchies evolve, and we can always look back to this original benchie from this print. But yeah, I'm impressed. From a hobbyist standpoint, if you can get these things under 200 bucks, honestly, there's no reason not to buy it. There really isn't. I gotta try some taller prints, really try pushing the speeds, see if we can get some of the Z wobble, but you know, I can't really move it much more than that. It's pretty rigid. This whole interface, not my favorite, but there are new firmwares that you can go ahead and flash into these printers that kind of change all this up and make it look better. I do like the large screen. It is pretty, but you know, could be better. But yeah, this benchie was a 2-hour benchie, which is way, way, way too long for a benchie. Anyways, thank you guys for sticking through this video. I know the build was really long. We've got the payoff here of the model. You saw the time lapses, and we have a lot of Ender 3 V2 and Ender content coming at you here right on the 3D Musketeers YouTube channel. So I hope we've earned your subscription, and if so, please lightly tap that like button for us. It does help the channel grow. Hopefully, I will see you guys down in the comments. Don't forget to call your loved ones, and as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. Would have been nice if I wrote myself down some notes. Hey, thanks for watching this video. I'm glad that you stuck it all the way out until the end. I happen to really like this machine, and I hope you guys do too. Right below me is the first video in the Ender 3 series where we quickly reviewed it, so you guys were able to take a look at it from both a professional and a hobbyist level, and I go a little bit deeper into the detail than I did in this video. Right next to it is going to be the video on cheap 3D printers that we like, where the Ender 3 and the Prusa were the two kings of the castle, and we got them right here. We're going to be comparing them in upcoming videos, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I will see you down in the comments. Have a good one.